In the previous video, I reminded you how you can imagine what a function is. And a many-to-one function is when you have multiple values over here mapping to the same thing. So for example, if you look at f of x equals x squared here, if you put the number 2 in here, it will get mapped to the number 4. And then also if you put negative 2 into the machine, it will also spit out 4. So this is an example of a many-to-one function. You could also have a function where it's a one-to-one, in which case one value gets mapped to another one. This one here gets mapped to a different one, but never to the same one. So this here is a one-to-one function. Okay, my point here is that, okay, imagine you've got this function here. Hang on. This function here, you can imagine this as being a machine here. Okay, hang on, bear with me. So imagine this machine here. This here is a many-to-one function because let's just draw a straight line across here. Okay, if you put in this number here, let's say a here. If we put in a here, it will spit out the number. Let's call this. Let's just say this is 3 here. When you put a into this function here, it will spit out the number 3. Okay, it will spit out the number 3. If you put let's say b into this thing here, if you put b into here, then it will also spit out the number 3 because this here is 3. Look, and then if you put in c. If you put in c, it will also spit out the number 3. So this here is a many-to-one function. But the thing is, when given this function here, if you try and find the inverse of this function, remember, finding the inverse of this line here is like you finding the reflection along the diagonal line here. So just take my word for it. The reflection is in fact this. Okay, take my word for it. If you want, you can press pause and try and have a go for yourself. Well, when you reflect this, this quadrant gets mapped to over here. Okay, so this gets mapped to over here. So this one here is going to do something like this. Okay, and then this one, well, when you reflect it along the diagonal line, it's going to look something like this. So hang on. So you reflecting it will look, so this here is actually the inverse function. Just take my word for it. Okay, so earlier we had a case where we put in the number 3. We put in a, b, c, and then we got out the same number 3. Now hang on, going back to here. Hang on. Earlier we said 3 was around here. So so if this is 3, later on when we look at the inverse, when we look at the inverse of x here, we're going to put this is our 3 in effect. Okay, we're going to put 3 into here and see what happens. Well, anyway, let's look at the inverse first. So the inverse here, so our 3, if you like, is going to be somewhere around here. Okay, so hang on. So our 3 is going to be somewhere around here. So look what's happening here. So this here is our inverse. Well, we can't really call it a function, but let's just pretend it's our inverse here. Okay. When we put 3 into here, you see it spits out. It will spit out this value here. So whatever that is, and then it will spit out this value here. It's spitting out 3 different values here. So this here is not a function, because a function is when you can draw a vertical line and it will only give you one value. Here we've drawn a vertical line and it's giving us 3 values here. So the inverse here is not a function. Okay, so hang on. So earlier we started out with this here is a function. It happens to be a many-to-one function, but it is a function. Here you've got many-to-one function. But then when we looked at the inverse, we've got one value here, which is this one here, and then it spits out 3 different values here. So this here this here is not a function, whereas this one is a function. So the thing that I'm trying to illustrate here is that when you have a many to one function, here, which is in this case here, when you have a many to one function, here, the inverse, meaning this one here goes over here, the inverse will not be a function. So when you have a many to one function, which is the case here, the inverse of this here will not be a function. So when you sorry to have to repeat this. When you have a many to one function, the inverse of this here will not be a function. Okay? Yeah. Again, I'm going to repeat it. When you have a many to one function here, when you have a many to one function here, the inverse will be like this. 3 different values here. So the inverse will not be a function, whereas this is a function. Okay?